house, and we thank Sister Kim for allowing us to come together. Bless each and every one of these women, whatever things might be troubling them. May the Spirit bless them in their endeavors and cause them to overcome, and may their mind be ever upon thee. Amen. So as we begin, I like to start at the book of Revelation, because I would like to show you that our adversary that is in place on this planet has done a great deal, but see, he's only an adversary when you don't know he exists. But if you know his function and you can see him, then you're in better standings as somebody that doesn't know how he's moving upon the earth. So let's go to Revelation chapter 12, and let's start at verse 9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, watch this, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with him. So we can see that this devil came down, he deceived what? The whole world. Not world is a Greek word for people, because there's two different words, world and earth. I want you to look up those two words and see the difference between them. Okay? There's a difference between world, and there's a difference between the earth. The earth is the solid mass beneath your feet. Okay. Now, let's go now to verse 12 of that same chapter. Would somebody like to read? Go ahead.
Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them, who will roll to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short.
That's right. So it said, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you having great wrath, because he knows that he has but what? A short time. Okay, so we can see that there is an adversary that is in the earth, and his whole desires is to do what? Is to misguide, to give false information. So let's go to Ephesians, and we want to see that they was telling us in the book of Ephesians, it was to give us a clear understanding that things was going to go very, very ill if we do not know Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6. Okay? Okay, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. What does it say?
Our struggles is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm.
Okay, so it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Remember, he came down to what? To deceive the whole world. So we're following against spiritual wickedness, what? In high places. Rulers of the world. Those that are deceitful in their dealings. So let us go from there to 2 Corinthians. That's right. Let's go to 2 Corinthians, because see, we know that circumstances on this planet is very, very bad, because we have a deceitful adversary that is against anything that is what wholesome. Let us go to 2 Corinthians, starting at chapter 11, starting at verse 13. Okay? Because we want to know what instruments he's going to use to be deceitful with. Once you understand what he's using, then you can protect yourself. Why expose yourself to those that will do you the most harm? But if you're not in harmony with truth, then you will only be in harmony with that which is what? Pervasive, misleading. Determination is to destroy you. How? By giving you information that is not what? Profitable. So it says, for such are the false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. Christ is a Greek word which means anointed. Okay, that's what it means. Look it up. Yeah, you can look it up. It means anointed. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Because he's an angel of darkness. He's a deceitful worker. Yes.
What are we reading from
We're 2 Corinthians chapter 11, starting at verse 13 to 15. Therefore is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. So we can see that there's a transformation of their proper character, which is ugly, deceitful, and nasty, into an angel from darkness into light. So it's hard to see. He said that his ministers would be what? The ministers of righteousness. And that's hard to see. That's hard to be able to discern who is the truth and who has the lie. So let us also go to 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians, okay. 2 Thessalonians, I want to show you that the adversary that we deal with, we have to have some means of being able to determine what we must do so that we might be able to be secure in our understanding of who we are. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 10 to 11. Will somebody read that? Okay? Yes, chapter 2, starting at verse 10 to 11.
You are witnessing, and so is God, of how holy, righteous, and blameless we were among the believers. For you know that we dealt with each other as a father deals with his children, encouraging, comforting, and urging you to live the life that is worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom of glory. And
Second Thessalonians chapter. That's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
2 Thessalonians.
Yes, 2 Thessalonians
And
chapter 2, starting at verse 10. This and lift your voice up so we can hear it.
Okay. All right. 10. And in every sort of evil that deceives those who are perishing, they perish because they refuse to love the truth and to be saved. For this is the reason God sends them a powerful delusion, so that they will believe the lie.
That they might believe a lie. Now that's I want you to contemplate that. He says, and with all deceitfulness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they might what? Believe a lie. And live it. Believe it to live it. Okay, so let us go to St. Matthew's. Let's go to St. Matthew's. No, that's all right. St. Matthew's. Chapter 13. St. Matthew's chapter 13. Chapter 13. Now, St. Matthew's chapter 13, I will start at the chapter is 13, the verse, I will start at verse 3. And he spake many things unto them in a parable, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no depthness of earth. And when the sun was risen, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell upon thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, and some 30-fold. Now, for the answer of that same chapter, let's go down to verse 18. Because somebody read that. Same chapter, verse 18. Because he's going to give you the explanation of the parable of the sower. Can somebody read that?
Just that one verse, 18?
No, just go from 18 to 23. Go ahead.
Listen to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message
Could you lift up your voice?
I'm sorry. Listen to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The one who received the seed that fell on rocky places is the man who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since he has no root, he lasts only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. The one who received the seed that fell among the thorns is the man who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke it, making it unfruitful. But the one who received the seed that fell on good soil is the man who hears the word and understands it. He produces a crop, yielding it 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown.
Yes. See, so we can see. So what method must we use that will give us a strong fortitude that even though we might go through the earth and that we might hear many things, see many things, what would be that we need to put? Let's go into 1 Thessalonians. Let's go back into 1 Thessalonians. And he says something that's very, very beautiful. And the reason why people fail is because they don't do this. Okay? Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. I want somebody to read this, please. Okay? 1 Thessalonians 5, chapter 21.
21.
What does it say?
It says,
Yeah, verse, yeah.
21.
Yeah.
Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Yeah, see, prove all things. Just don't, what I'm saying to you, I'm going to show you how to prove it. Don't disbelieve just because someone says something to you. Prove it. Why? Why should you do? Let's go to Philippians. Let's go to Philippians. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Why? That's right. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. What does it say? Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. In other words, prove it so it can be true to you. Prove it to where you can understand it collectively. Can you understand what I'm saying? Now, from this point on, we're going to go to the very beginning of the Bible. We're going to go to Genesis, starting at chapter 11, because this the only way you can understand the Bible, you have to start from the beginning, right?
Yes.
I'm going to show you how this whole thing is hooked up. But first, I want you to realize that the circumstances that we are encountering on this earth is, I want to relate it to this black man in America because it's imperative to find out, because he is the center of what is happening all through the world. Now you heard what I said? I want you to remember this, because I want you to challenge me on this, because I'm going to show you that he is the center of all what's happening. Everything that you see all in the East is because of you. Now I want you to remember that. Okay, because when you were sold in America, you wasn't sold as a Christian. Now, one of y'all was sold on the slave block as a Christian, were you?
As a what?
As a Christian. No, you wasn't. No. No, you wasn't. See, I want you to get a book on slavery. Slavery they don't go down there. I want y'all to look, because you have to, for me to explain to you, you have to understand what slavery has done to us in America. How you gonna understand what I'm saying? Because you think you're not an ordinary people. You are great people. And they have sold you your information. They're hustling you with what belongs to you. Okay, now, let's go to chapter 10 of Genesis, because we have to start at the beginning. Chapter 10 of Genesis, starting at verse 32. 32. Genesis chapter 10 verse 32. What it says: these are the families of the sons of Noah after their generation in their nations. By these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. What were they called after the flood? Nations. Do you see it there? It says nation. After the flood, they were called nations. That's right. The division of the earth was based on nations. Now, we're going to follow this all through the Bible. Okay, now, let's go to Genesis chapter 12. Let's start at verse 1. Could somebody read that to me?
Chapter 12, verse 1?
12, starting at chapter 12 of Genesis, chapter 12, starting at verse 1. We're going to read down to from 1 to 3. Go ahead. What does it say?
The Lord has said to Abram, leave your country, your people, and your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation.
What did he say? Did he say religion?
No.
No, he said what? A nation of people. You got to understand that, because when I show you this, nobody can ever lie to you again. This book talks about, it's the strangest thing. We send our kids to school, right? And one of the things in English, you learn about the noun, the subject, the predicate, and all like that. But the point is that they don't use it when they're reading. Well, you understand? In other words, the subject matter of the Bible has a subject matter. And the reason why I started at verse 10 is because I want to show you that God is dealing with nations of people. He ain't dealing with color. Because you got variety of color. The moment you start dealing with color, you're going to embarrass somebody that's of your same nationality. Am I right?
You're right.
Okay. So I don't deal with color. I deal with nationality. Now, what's your nationality, black man? I understand. Don't say Afro-American. That's 2 continents. So, okay, we ain't going to get into that. We ain't going to get into that. Don't tell me. Oh, you understand? Hey, I'm going to let you, because see, when you get in, this is where you make the mistakes. You get in, oh, he's black, he's this. What nationality are you? You understand what I'm saying? Not what religion. I'm going to show you something about religion, but I want to build this up. This is like a beautiful love story. Because that's what the Bible is actually a love story between God and a people. That's what it is. It's the most beautiful love story. And guess what? You on stage because you are the one that God is making love to. He loves you. But anyway, I'm saying to you It said, he says, a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So I think we should want to know who these people, because these people are the whole blessing of the families of the earth. And they would be a nation, and they came from Akram. Okay, so let us follow this story all the way through. Let's go to same chapter. Chapter 12. Let's, please. Okay, we're gonna to chapter 12. Let's read verse 7 of chapter 12. Can somebody read it?
The Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your offspring I will give this land. So he built the altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him.
Okay, so we are now seeing that a promise is being given. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12, chapter 13, and we're going to start at verse 14. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift now thy eyes and look from the place where thou art northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. Okay, so this is a promise that God is given to Abram, that he would be secure and become that great nation. Now we're going to follow this story straight on down to see. Now the other parts that I'm missing, you could fill it in by just reading on. But I want to give you the meat of what is transpiring in this divine story of the building of where he said, I'm going to give your seed, Abram, because he didn't have any children. So let's go to Genesis chapter 15. Starting at verse 3. Can somebody read that? 15:3.
And Abram said, you have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir.
Go ahead.
Then the word of the Lord came to him. This man will not be your heir, but a son coming from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, look up at the heavens and count the stars. If indeed you can count them, then he said to him, so shall your offspring be. Abraham believed the Lord, and he credited to him as righteousness. And he said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of
the land of Ur. Okay, so let us go down that same chapter to verse 13. And he said unto Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. Okay? So also I want to let us go down to verse 16. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquities of the Amorites is not yet full. And it shall come to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoky furnace and a burnt lamp that passed before these pieces. In that same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto thy seed hath I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. So that is the map of the land that these people own. Now let us go Genesis chapter 16, and let us go and at verse 1. 16 verse 1. Somebody read that.
Now
Now Sarah Sarai.
Sarai. Okay, now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
Okay, so he could see. So let's go down to verse 4. See, I'm skipping so that we can just go back and read. It all hooks up. But I want to give you the meat part. Go ahead.
And he went in, he slept with.
Verse 4.
And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
Okay, so we can see now. Let's go over the same chapter. Let's go up to verse 11. Same chapter, verse 11. Go on.
The angel of the Lord
Yes.
also said to her, you are now with child, and you will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery.
Okay. Go on.
He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hands will be against everyone and everyone.
Okay. And everyone had against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. So we can see
Hostility.
yes. Our Bibles are reading a little different, but it's coming it's coming into focus is that this story is hooking up just like a train. Let's talk to let's go down to Genesis chapter 7 verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am Almighty God, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make a covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. I'm going down to verse 4. As for me, of the same chapter, 17. As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Okay, neither shall thy name any more be called Abram. See, his name is being changed. But thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. We haven't read one thing that talked about a church. All of it is going to be, okay, let's go read 7, verse 7.
And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generation for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee.
See, go ahead.
And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land therein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
Now, isn't that beautiful what he said?
Yes.
This land is their land to this day. But you got to identify who they are. You understand? But this land, he made a covenant. He said, forever. And see, now, let's stay there and go to verse 15. And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. See, so we're not talking about religion. We're talking about nations of people. Okay? So let's go down to 19 of that same chapter. What does it say?
And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with the seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he begat, and I will make him a great nation.
Go ahead.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
Yeah, so we can see the story is following through. That this was an agreement that they would have children. And these children, this child that they would have, what they even name would be Isaac. And therefore, Isaac would eventually, you can read the story that Abraham would have this son. And this son that he would have would be called what? Isaac. Now, we're going to skip a large portion. You can go back and read it. It all hooks up. But we're going to go to Genesis chapter 22, verse 17. And we're going to read and further understand this nation that will come out of